Just to kind of maintain within.
Sydney, you good?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Wonderful. We're gonna actually start the meeting. Welcome, guys. Hello. If we could please be quiet while we're in the middle of the meeting, that'd be wonderful.
No, we hadn't, but
We have not. We're just getting started, so recording will be on and I like it. I like it.
There's one here to chatter.
Well, welcome to 2026. So this is the June 3rd, 2026 Planning Commission meeting. It's a special meeting. We've got the last meeting for Commissioner Anderson and Commissioner Mills and just all their service on the commission over the last 2 terms. So we've got some special things planned for that as well. And yeah, it's going to be a really good meeting, as well as Emma's birthday is today. So we're celebrating Emma's birthday. We are mourning losing you guys on the planning commission as well. But we've been very grateful for just your experience, your passion, your just prowess on being able to help continue to form the decisions of the planning commission. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I know is food supposed to be here at 4:30?
Yeah, 5:30.
5:30.
Okay.
Okay.
An hour.
Perfect. So food should be here at 5:30.
Jonathan,
So
got my message.
I imagine he did. So we've got some special food planned and yeah, we're looking forward to that. So on the meeting this evening, we've got the review of business session agendas, which we will be going through project ZMA 26-002/GPA-26 through or -002, project ADU-26-001, project CUP-26-007, and also the consent agenda for the May 6, 2026 Planning Commission minutes. So as we decided in the last Planning Commission, in regards to kind of our trajectory with the old mill and just better understanding where we're at with the consultants and any additional information, we were going to maintain to keep the old mill discussion and in the demolition of the CUP-25-005 on our work session, just we can continue to get updates on that site. And I know Jim has some good updates for us on that.
Yep. I don't know if they're good. They're updates, good nor bad. So we, in the staff report noted at the end of the report, the upcoming session or work session submittals. So the applicant had deferred the submittals for this month to next month because they're getting more things together. So nothing new for you to review. There's already a lot to look at. So I think you're okay there. With an update regarding the RFQ. So we held interviews with all the consultants that submitted. We had 5 submittals and the city council is scheduled to select or stamp the approval of Dunn Associates as being the consultant for that project. So we're coordinating with them right now to get the contract in place, all the kind of legal stuff in the background. And then we're hoping they hit the ground running and have a report to us by the end of August to have a look at. So we're excited for that. They're a great group, very qualified. All the submittals we had were excellent, but they kind of stood out as one that I think met the needs of the city the best. So we're working through that. Other than that, I don't really have any updates on the old mill application. Questions?
Yeah, Jim, do we know what
Yes.
the cost of that's going to be?
So that's part of the contract. It's coming in below the 20K that was.
Is that what was
allocated.
allocated, 20,000?
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's under that amount. I just don't know exactly what.
Will that come out of this year or next year's budget?
Probably this year's budget,
Okay.
but TBD.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Are these guys local?
They are. So the owner of the firm lives in Cottonwood Heights,
Okay.
near the old mill. We actually had 3 of the submittals. The consultants that submitted lives or had a stake in Cottonwood Heights. So
That feels good to me. I don't know if that was a necessity or that we were
Yeah.
preferred one proposal or another,
I
but
agree.
I
Yeah.
like that.
it wasn't a criterion in deciding, but it's a good coincidence. that they're local, so.
Some of the projects that Dunn has worked on.
Yeah.
Have included many of the historical buildings downtown
Oh.
Salt Lake, including their own, if you're familiar with the Granary District.
Yeah.
In Salt Lake City. They office out of the original granary in the Granary District.
No kidding.
So
That's awesome.
really, really a special building,
Yeah,
which they, I believe, did a massive renovation and restoration.
I'm guessing they did. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, very qualified. So we're excited to work with those guys. And they'll, and part of the scope is them coming to the planning commission to present their findings, and to go over the report. So I think we have that on the calendar
It's either September, or
for
October.
September, October. So we'll try to stick to that deadline. So you'll get to meet those folks and do that. So
Wonderful.
great.
Let's move on to project ZMA 26-002.
Okay.
Thank you, Maverick.
Let me see if this works. Come on. Okay, so the project number is ZMA 26002, and the action required is zoning map amendment and the general plan amendments. Applicant is the Jordan Brady, and they're belong with the Brady Family Trust. And the project address at 2193 East, 6525 South, and recommendations that recommend approval. So the applicant requests, the first request is like general plan amendment to the rural distant density to low density. And for the zoning map amendment is for the R121 to the R115. The proposed is the applicant try to subdivision for like 3 single family lots. And keep also, and then they try to keep like a low density residential developments. And for the exceeding condition, the exceeding neighborhood condition is like a single family residence for the whole neighborhood, and the property current zoning is the R121s. And the exceeding utility and roadway infrastructures available, and make sure the conforming and the legal non-conforming slots in that area. And for the image, you can see on the okay, right. The yellow one is for the current land use. Current land use is like a residential rural distant, and the proposed land use is changed to residential low density. And for the green one is for the current zoning map is the R121 rural residential zone, and the proposed zoning is for R115 residential single family zones. So for the neighborhood analyzed, the exceeding development patterns applicant's neighborhood analyzed. The applicant research and find out there is a kind of like a 29 of 57 lot, like around 51% are legal non-conforming, and many exceeding lot are below the 21,000 square foot and the minimum for the minimum lot size. And also the exceeding neighborhoods contain the very lot width and lot size are also not meet the current R121 lot standard. So staff found the surrounding neighborhood has a historical development with the smaller lot pattern than the current required under the R121 district. So we also talked to the city GIS, let them do some like official research and help us clarify what exactly the community lot standard. And we found out there is a 40 of the 63 lot doesn't meet the R121 current standard. So it's around like 63% is legal non-conforming. And for the rural residential analyzed for the RR zone allowed limits like a livestock use, and the city code and the section 8.14.0.20 status minimum 20,000 square feet lot size is required to keep the livestock. And staff found many surrounding lots do not meet this minimum lot size requirement. ArcGIS also helps double check the lot size for this livestock required. So 35 of 633 lot doesn't meet that livestock standard. So it's around like a 55-56%. And for the stability portion of surrounding property are unable to fully, like for the livestock rights associated with the RR zone. exceeding neighborhood condition differ from the original intent of the RR zone district. For the general plan, the current, the lot current design for the general plan is for the rural density. And that design is for the large lot development, also for the low density. And the lot size minimum required is 21,000 square feet for lot or bigger. And generally no more than 2 dwelling units per acre. And the applicant, their proposed design is like a residential low density R115. And detached single family residential, and the lot size approximately is like 8,700 to 17,400 square feet of lots. And approximately around like a 2.5 to 5 dwelling unit per acre. So for the general plan, analyze that found the stuff, we know the request is kind of like a not, the request is represents its departure from the historical intent of the rural density design. But staff also found that exceeding neighborhood content of mixtures of a confirmed and legal non-conforming lot standard. And the proposed maintain the detached single family residential land use. And the proposed land use change is not introduced to like a multifamily or commercial use. They still keep like a same low density and single family use purpose. And the picture you can see is kind of the proposed development concept. If this rezone get changed, we just plan to subdivide for 3 lots, and each lot keep like 0.36 acre. And this kind of like a vision for the future house will look like. And for the public service and infrastructure analyzed that found exceeding roadway access available, and also exceeding water service available, exceeding sewer is also available, and exceeding storm drainage infrastructures available. Future development remain subject to like, they still need to follow like a subdivision review, engineer review during the whole, no matter subdivision or building permit review process. Also the utility, the applicant still need to work with the sewer and water department for the future changes for their utility system. And fire department and building department review will be required too. So prosecutor and authority, the zoning map amendment is the general plan amendment, and the general plan amendment are legislative action, meaning that the planning commission authority is take a public comment discussion of the proposed and then make a recommendation to the city council. The city council is the final approval authority for this application. Future detail on the prosecutor and authority, this application type can be found in the staff report in this project. And this report I'll post on the city website and send it to the commissioner before the meeting. And for the public notice, we sent out a public notice the 10 days before, and also post the physical notice from the property. The notice mailed like 1,000 feet around for the whole neighborhoods. And after we sent out the public notice and staff report, we received 1 public comment. And the public comment summary is kind of like try to support this rezone. They believe this change will give a more opportunity for that area. And the comment already forward to the commissioner before the meeting. So staff recommendations like approval based on the following found is the compatible with the surrounding neighborhood, and also maintain the low density residential charters and exceeding infrastructure available. Also support efficient use of a service land, and no not impact any like public health, safety, or welfare.
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do. Will there be a requirement for sidewalks to be added in front of the 3 where the homes are built?
Yeah,
That'll be
so
private, right?
all the right of way improvement, those things will be reviewed in the subdivisions process. And
Okay, and I believe I read in the report that there will be some road improvement as well. Do you know what that would entail? I mean, because it's just, you know,
I think like Commissioner Anderson, I mean, when we've done these previously, this becomes a chance to kind of bring things up to kind of a general standard that's not necessarily described in code, but curb and gutter, you know, having traditional sidewalks and I'm sure the Brady's will not have any challenges with that. That's just, I think, but it's just becomes our chance to kind of say, okay, we have enough little hamster trails through Cottonwood Heights that this becomes our chance to kind of, the only time we really get to say, okay, let's get things up to a similar standard is when there's an application like this.
Yeah, yeah, and I just want to make sure. I mean, I believe, I drove by there today, but I think it would be maybe the only sidewalks on that road, which is always kind of an interesting phenomenon.
Start, that's how you start. We're
Yeah,
trying that
right.
on for Union Boulevard, and I would encourage you guys, after we're gone, that you may start with one sidewalk in front of one property and we just add on to it.
Right.
That's the only way the Fort Union Master Plan is gonna happen. We don't have the money to do this all the way up and down, so you just do a piece at a time.
Yeah, so after we received the application, we talked to the public work, include stormwater, gutter, sidewalk, those kind of things. They mentioned that, yeah, this is kind of required thing for each new development and subdivision. So those things will be addressed during the subdivision review, even just for this section, they will still require for
So
that.
it's a
And
requirement.
for each, yeah, that's a
Okay.
requirement for the right of way improvements.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Good, and then this is just, there's an empty field, if I remember the rendering, there's an empty field, and then I believe the parents' home and Nana's house is across
Yep.
the street, right?
Up
Is that right? So this is just the field
Yeah.
that we're talking about. When you
There-
look at it, I find it hard to believe that 3 homes can go in there. I trust it, it's just, it didn't look like that'd be the case.
I
Okay.
pulled it, I mean, the 96 feet, I had that same question, but 96 feet wide is a great lot width.
Yeah,
And if you're getting a third of an acre, that seems really in keeping with what would be a really good size to build a really, really high quality home in that area. And we got lots of Brady's in that neighborhood too. I imagine it might be a Brady or two that ends up in one of those houses, but they've done a good job of being good stewards in that area. We've done a couple things with them in the last 5 years, and I mean, I imagine it's been good to work with you guys too. They've kind of been willing to do whatever we've asked of them.
okay, then one more, because, you know.
Go
you
for it.
Remember me and my questions. Well, do you know, I mean, this isn't part of the narrative, but I just don't know if you know off the top of your head, what the requirement is for maximum amount of grass?
You mean that
And
opens the.
Like in it,
Permeable?
yeah, the
permeable.
more permeable. Do you
Yep.
know, I'm just curious, I mean, I know they'll have to adhere to it, but looking at the renderings, it's
Yeah.
all grass.
Yeah.
And so,
I don't know if we have a limit on grass.
We kind of go the other way. Like, I mean, we have limits on how much impermeable.
Like a
Right.
landscape, those kind of thing.
yeah, I mean, I'm assuming they just would have to follow that because this is considered new development.
Whatever the land.
More than greater.
Yeah,
than-
the landscape code right now is for the grass cannot over than 35%.
Right.
Yes, that's the thing they still need to follow, and when we're not gonna ask for landscape plan during the subdivision review but during the building permit review process, those kind of like a full design landscape plan need to be reviewed and follow the city code before we issue the building permit.
So remind me after, if this is, if we send an approval to city council on this, what are next steps after that? They don't have to come back to planning commission, right? Because they just move forward building permits and all the
The
permits. and
subdivision
all
and then
of
the
that.
building permit.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lucy.
So Maverick, you said 35% needs to, that's the limit on impermeable.
For the grass, just for the landscape grass.
For permeable.
Which
It has to be
Yeah,
35%.
So there's also a limit on the other side for impermeable, like how much you can put, so you just can't put like cement
Concrete.
waste concrete on the entire thing. So at both ends, can't do too much, can't do too little. It's a pretty broad range though, in all.
Yeah,
honesty.
I just see this is irrelevant to this discussion, but I do see some things going on where I'm wondering how much permeable space is left.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I think both are potentially not great, you know, so.
With this being a dead end, do we see any concern with fire turnaround or any details from a fire standpoint on this?
Fire department reviewed this case when we did the kind of like pre-application meeting. You guys can see at this corners here. the fire department, they measured here, they think they have enough distance to worker pits for the fire truck here. And also, fire department said during the application meeting, the fire marshal Green kind of comments like by the water flow, those kind of things. And if the water department can issue the water flow things, they don't have any problem because the road they think is good enough for like fire truck worker pits.
About hydrants or
Like
do we have,
Yeah,
they had sufficient hydrants as well to get down that far down the road, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
there's a hydrant right on the corner of that
Nice.
little turnaround right there.
Oh, good eye.
yeah, that'd be part of the
Awesome.
subdivision as well.
So right now, the fire turnaround is it that little driveway that goes back there? That goes up and north?
It's part of the right.
The
of
one
way.
that's west of it? Is that
Yeah,
what
it looks, there's the current hammerhead that's part of the public right of way
Okay,
there, but that would all be reviewed as part of the subdivision application. When they're actually creating the lots, this is just changing the zoning.
Well, that lot to the west, I don't think that's theirs. I think that's part of the
Yeah,
next
it's not-
developer. I do, and this isn't germane to this project, but just for you guys, just from a staff standpoint, just watching what could potentially be done with as Brady's kind of used their property with things like this. Like there's a slice there around the Highland Point Apartments and just being a little thoughtful about how that could be addressed or would be addressed. Just be thoughtful about kind of just the pieces adjacent. I mean, we do that with property owners, but let's not leave some vacant lot at the end of the street that everybody wonders 20 years from now, how in the world did that not get, addressed somehow? And I don't know that it's the purview of this project or this discussion, but as we kind of, over the years, kind of looked at how we kind of fill in the Lego pieces, just being thoughtful and, and even if it's just getting people into the same room to see if there at some point is some solution that groups might be amenable to, rather than just, flag lot problems are just pervasive in Cottonwood Heights. And you just try to, sometimes it's duct tape and baling wire. I just feel like if you get the right people in the room, sometimes they get creative and they can figure out some horse trading, and if it requires some code change, you guys get involved. So that piece to the west is a weird shape though. You pull up the parcel
Yeah.
search.
Mhm.
it's very interesting. So another question, what is the percentage of Conwood Heights that is in the current agriculture zoning?
The overall for the whole city.
Yeah. And because right now, I don't believe there's much in the general plan that is even relevant to that specific zoning, so it seems like there might be some additional shifts. And from just a pure administrative standpoint, so this doesn't have to continue to go back into planning commission. I don't know if there's opportunity for us to work towards maybe an administrative or some type of an overlay that could allow something like this, if this is something that would make sense for all parties involved. But it seems like this specific zoning is not useful from what I have seen in the city. And correct me if I'm wrong, if there's something in the general plan that I may have missed, but it seems like this would be relevant for potentially an overlay opportunity into the future.
Mhm.
So
So we're rewriting the general plan, so
yes,
bookmark that for conversation.
I think we should.
As far as the rural residential, most of the properties along Creek Road are rural residential, this little pocket neighborhood. And then there's a couple of little isolated pockets on the south end near the golf course in Sandy. But it's not very much.
Great. Any other questions?
Looks good.
I'd agree. Wonderful. Moving on to project ADU -26-001.
Okay, so the subject property is 2982 east, 7375 south, and the property owner is Zach Annie's, and the current zone now is the R1A single family. And the property lot size is 0.3 acre. So the exceeding side condition is like this ADU gonna be exceeding the rear yards, and you guys can see the rear yard portal now, just like basically just the grass and one detached garage. And this detached garage will be removed if this ADU get approved. And the image you can see the proposed ADU look like just the concept image. So the ADU, the size around like 800 square foot and with detached structures, and also they have a permanent foundation and the building height. The owner haven't not make a decision yet, but he say probably around like a 10 to 15 feet tall and gonna be a 2-bedroom, and parking will be provided adjacent to the ADU.
Can you be more specific about when you say adjacent to the ADU?
This right, because the code say the parking need to be, cannot be in the front or like block the owner's primary parking. So the owner just like, oh, he's exceeding trees and just create another driveway all the way to the backyard and just front of the ADU. I will show you the site, show you guys the site plan and show where's the parking located. So basically just front of this ADU building.
We'll ask the permeability question when we get to that, so. Thank you.
So this is proposed location, and sorry, the color probably not very clear, but this is the best the owner can provide it. So you guys can see the ADU is located in the backyard. Now you can see kind of like mixed with that detached garage, but that garage will be removed later. And the setbacks kind of meet the primary structures building setback. So it's 8 foot from the side yard and 20 from the rear yard, and each structure need to keep a minimum 6 feet distance. And the applicant meet all the required, and you can see the parking is in front of that ADU just on the east side. That's the ADU parking, just the front staff property, that ADU structures.
So it's not, you said it is in the front or is not in the front?
Just in the
On the side.
The front side.
front side here.
Where those two arrow, the two.
Okay, in front of the ADU, okay, between the primary
We're gonna
residence.
find a building, yeah,
And they're gonna access it where?
here. Because now the house
That is
just, this
like
is not the cover garage. This is just kind of like a carport.
Okay, so they can get underneath the carport.
Yes, yeah.
So they'll just drive through underneath the carport or tear down the.
They're
carport?
tear down part of a carport and just let the car can go.
So will that diminish the parking space for the primary owner? These are things I just couldn't tell from the drawing, so I'm not trying to slow you up here, Maverick, but I just.
Yeah, I know.
The parking to me is like it's a really, really big sticky wicket with this.
Yeah, so the applicant idea, they say they also gonna pour more concrete to this whole area here to increase it. And he said he has enough space to go through over here. Can we see the Google view from the house? So we can show the commissioner what's that look like for the
Yeah,
fronts, sorry.
I mean, I'm strong about like, if you need to be able to park the primary resident in their
Yeah.
primary parking with 2 cars. And then be able to get around the outside of the 2 vehicles and not have anybody double park.
Yeah, of course.
Now, so this is saying, so this box here, the one that's on the left on the picture, says that this tree will be removed and a parking pad installed with 2 parking spaces for ADU. So so the carport is on the other side, so that wouldn't be.
No, I think the
the
carport.
carport
on that
has-
side, you
My
see?
turn,
Yeah,
so it turned.
it shows us cars there, but that's not with this property. I think that's the next door neighbor. So the carport is.
Oh, I see the arrows going over there. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, I can pull up those.
I had that same,
It was.
took me a sec to look at it.
So if you guys see, you can share that.
Oh, that helps.
Yeah, so the owner plans is just the parking gonna be this location here of the tree. So the concrete gonna go extended to here, so the primary parking will be here and the ADU parking will go this way.
So there will only be 1 parking spot effectively for the primary resident.
That's a
Unless
2
they
car. I
double
think
park.
that's, yeah. I think
Can they get around the outside of that or is that?
No, that looks like one car right there.
There's, one here and one over here.
Yeah.
And then they'll expand it probably to the wall,
Yeah,
and then you can stack probably 4 cars here right now.
I'll defer to my colleagues, but I mean, one of the intentions with the ADUs is like not double stacking. That doesn't count because there's a desire for people to add ADUs and they immediately just are like, we'll just put people and they're off the street. That's all that matters. And the intention was that, you know, you're getting cars into the parking structure. So
So do we know the distance between the carport and the lot line that they would actually be able to pave to get back there and drive
I
back
mean,
there?
next to the wall, up to the
Mhm.
wall.
Wall, or if that's the lot line, it looks like the wall and the lot line are similar.
Let's see. It's 8, 9 feet-ish.
what do you guys think?
So
So
are they-
the parking stall is 9 feet wide.
Mhm.
generally, so-
So it might be tight, but
Yeah, and overall, you've got 30 feet to the edge. So I mean, with the parking lot, you could get 3 parking stalls in that space.
you could put 2 cars
With-
into that
with
garage and
three-
then have it be around the outside. That's gonna look really nice and very accommodating. If you're making people double stack into the driveway for the primary residence, anyway.
But it looks like their intention is they're going to remove that tree on the south side there.
Yeah.
And that's where the parking for the ADU is going to be. So
Mhm.
basically you have the pull through. I guess I don't understand why they're are they removing the whole lip of that carport right there, that whole piece? And just making one stall for the carport that's attached, or are they just removing part of it so they have larger than 8.5 feet there?
Just part of it enough the car can go. That's what the plan now, when the plan can provide us parking, because at the beginning, we tried to not accept this location because the parking is kind of like a problem until he said, oh, he willing to cut the tree and also change the structures to create another driveway to meet that parking standard.
And he would have to do that before he gets his building permit, is that correct?
Yeah, he need to submit the whole thing together. It depends on if you guys want to give the condition like, oh, that need to be adjusted before we start with the building permit or during the review process.
I think that access is gonna be really something that we would wanna be clear on with this.
Okay.
So that we have appropriate access to those parking stalls.
Yeah, applicant will be here at 6:30 to attend the in-person meeting. He just called me like before the meeting and oh, it's in person, good. I said, yes, just always here, just like clear with some points, like not very clear during the presentation.
So is there, I feel like I should know the answer to this after 6 years, but I don't. Is there any kind of setback required from property line to where a car is parked? No,
No,
so you can park a car right on the property line, okay.
well, next to the property line.
How are we on easements there? Utilities and all that stuff, because I mean, sometimes those backyards are like that because there's major stuff going through there. I don't know.
You mean the
know that?
ADU gonna touch an easement or the driveway will? touch
The
an easement?
ADU, well, either, I mean, the impermeable surface, so I don't know if that's as big of a deal, but I mean, putting a structure on top of an easement, can't do that, so. Is that- can you
Usually,
pull that? Is
if
that-
any structure touch the easements, we always let the applicant talk to all the utility supplies
100%.
company and ask for the waiver.
Mhm.
And the utility company make a decision how many feet they will give to this structures, no matter it's the driveway or the ADU structures. And if they give the waiver, when we review, we'll accept this waiver because that's utility already approved. But if they say, oh, for example, they have a 10-foot utility, but utility only allow given the 5 feet.
Hmm.
And that will be a conditional approval or send and revise, like, hey, you need to readjust this since utility company not allowed to give you the whole utility access for that.
We will require owner affidavit on this due to it being.
Yes.
ADU as
You
well.
guys already have that,
We
right?
already have.
Yes,
Sorry.
the owner already recorded, but the county will take probably 2 weeks to send it to us. And we will verify that the record file before we issue the building permit.
I don't want us to feel like we're like perseverating over this parking thing, but in the last 6 years, this discussion about ADUs, this is the sticking point. And so the line that's been drawn in the sand by the last two mayors is just making sure that the parking is adequate and it's, you know, but that stacked parking, we don't want to open that Pandora's box. So when the applicant gets here, let's see if we can help them be creative and see if there's a pathway through. I mean, there might be, but if it's gonna be stacked parking and it just doesn't feel, I would say that's the hill to die on if we can't find a solution with it.
The only easement on the property is on the very south property line. There's a 10-foot utility easement.
Okay,
So
we're
there's
miles away
nothing
from
else
that,
there.
so.
Yeah.
Is he pretty set on putting it right in the middle, the way that it's depicted? That picture looks like that's gonna be no problem at all, and that's fine. Is that what he's saying?
That
Not
is,
gonna try to pin it against a wall or something like that,
But he'd have to meet the setbacks.
yeah,
There's,
and I think it's, what is our setback for ADUs, is it separate? Is it any structure,
8 feet from the side.
8 feet? Okay,
Yeah, 6 feet from the.
same as the house.
that's right. Okay. That was my only concern.
Other questions?
Keep going. Okay. So for the use analyzed, the staff found the detached ADU are allowed as a conditional use in the R1A zone, and only one ADU proposed on the property. And the property owner will continue occupancy in the primary dwelling, and ADU will not be used as a short-term rental. And we confirmed both of these points with the applicant in the email and have the writing down evidence.
Is there any way to monitor that, the short-term rental thing?
Yeah,
Very, very controversial discussion.
absolutely.
There's legal implications. The legislature has actually voiced opinions on that. It used to be everybody was sneaking and just the cities were getting on Airbnb, which then it was legally determined they couldn't. And now these guys can use their search contractors that they can use to kind of see and monitor. So, because if it's happening, we just want to make sure we're capturing the income, to be honest. And we also, I don't know that we've landed on a code yet for what the density, but that, would be a conversation for the future, like whether you decide to put it in, in this area, we will allow this many and concentrations, or forbid it in certain parts of the city, however you want to do it. But it definitely would behoove you to get that going again with a new city manager and a new-ish city council, and just starting that dialogue.
I saw it on it's on the city council agenda for
Yeah,
June.
so that's
Last meeting in June.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
The 16th, the council will talk about it, and then you'll probably see some proposed amendments in July or August.
Okay.
So,
Awesome.
And for the site analyze, here's the item we review during the review process. So first thing, the foundation and the applicant meter required. Utility meter, there's a no separate meter. And rear yard location, yes, they located in the rear yard. Lot coverage is to meet all the R1A lot coverage required. The setback also meet the accessory building, also the primary setback required. And the maximum ADU height is follow the accessory building height is 20 feet max, and this one just 10 to 15 feet. And for the buffers, then the property now have an exceeding fence, also the vegetation like trees around the house.
If we don't have residents that live adjacent, that would be another one where it's like I know we message, I know we tell people, but they often don't seem to get the word. And so I think it would be wise to make sure that people that are gonna live next to this, that if they've got any preferences and they're reasonable, facilitating that conversation, just help people be good neighbors to each other. This is having people living in somebody's backyard will be new, and see if there's something that we can suggest to help them all be good neighbors to each other.
Yeah, I think we can add this part as like kind of conditional item, or like when the permits we issue, we just put this on the conditional item and kind of remind them with this parts. And the parkings, we know we have 2 space provided. And this staff out for the proposed ADUs is allowed in a conditional use R1A, and they comply with the city code for 19.75 for accessory dwelling units, and also 19.84 for the conditional use. And the meet applicable development standard provide the adequate parking and include the buffer from the adjacent property, and will not negatively impact the surrounding property, and also meet with all the zoning and zoning ordinance and general plans. And for the public comment, we sent out a notice, same thing 10 days ago, and 300 feet for the ADU application. And since we sent a notice, we not received any public comment for this case. So staff recommended approve for this case and with the condition, and the condition will be application should obtain approved building permit include pass the final inspection confirmed compliant with all the applicable codes. And second, applicant should obtain approval city business license to act as the landlord for the ADU. And after discussion, if you guys want to add other condition like fence, vegetation, or like a driveway, those kind of thing, would happen to add it after applicant provide all his comment.
So Maverick, this is the first time I've seen a 2-bedroom ADU, just in general, which is actually pretty cool. What is our maximum size for ADUs in the
So
city?
our ADU sizes depend on like, they need to follow like accessory building backyard lot coverage. So the R1A backyard lot coverage is 25%. So for any like structures that if they meet that 25%, they can create 2-bedroom or like big things. And this one,
Remind me what percentage this means.
I'm not sure, but I didn't put on reports. I can calculate really quick and let you know.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Just seeing 2 bedrooms, that's, potentially 4 to 5 extra occupants in the back. With kids, so something just to think about. The majority of the ADUs that I have seen, as well as the ADUs that I've seen come through Cottonwood Heights, have typically been either studio or 1 bedrooms. So I think that's just something that we should look at, of course, with lot coverage, but also some additional conditions behind that as far as occupancy. Just looking at some options there.
Give me a moment, I'll calculate really quick. Sorry.
So you were gonna limit the numbers?
I-
That
I-
makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just never seen a 2-bedroom ADU, detached ADU, and especially.
It's also 800 square feet, so I mean, it's,
Significant.
I mean, it's not small, but it's not huge either, I mean, I
It's
don't know.
like a typical.
I don't know that we can say anything about occupancy.
But I do think it behooves us to make sure that we
10%.
make sure that the parking, I mean, it's really been governed, Sean, by the easements and distance from I mean, it's just kind of natural, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good
Yeah,
point.
just
Really good
just
point.
seeing 2 bedrooms, it just increases occupancy on the site.
It's a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Thinking how I would feel if this was in my neighbor's backyard. Yeah. It would have an impact.
Yeah, my first home was 800 square feet and. There's 4 of us.
So you were living well.
So it's, could you imagine
Yeah.
a family of 4 or 5,
Yeah.
Could have an impact.
The applicant's backyard right now is around like a 7,300 square foot. Because the house is built a little bit in the front area. So his backyard is pretty big and have enough space. And 800 square foot structures only like 10%.
It's on a third of an acre. That's a big lot.
Yeah, that's a big one.
What's the size of the primary dwelling? You guys have that? Is that close?
For the primary building,
Yeah.
Okay.
If you exclude the carport, can you tell that?
yeah, I can give.
You guys are so fast at these questions. I could answer that. It would take me 20
The
minutes.
assessor shows 1,340 square feet in county
Oh.
data.
So 1,300 and then 800 for the accessory dwelling.
So distance from the road to the back of the ADU. Do we have distance for that just from like fire standpoint? Is there any concern that the fire department has had on this, just as far as being able to pull? Because what is it? From the back corner, they need to have a certain amount of space. I think it's 600 feet.
So to the very back of the lot from the road is 164 feet.
Okay, so we're not even anywhere close.
Yeah, so typically their hose lengths are 150 feet. So as long as they can get around on that, that's good.
No, this is interesting, and I really like seeing something different, especially increasing. I think we've seen some 400 and 500 square foot ADUs come through, but 800 is exciting, and it's just, there's a crisis of housing attainability in Utah, and I think this will allow for more attainability and potentially more opportunity for homeowners and, our kids to be able to afford and our grandkids, so.
Yeah, it's kind of like a new, like, things for the city, because the last detached ADU we reviewed is 2023.
Yeah.
And and that is a tiny house. I remember just
Over by
around,
Anzac Park.
around 200 square feet. It's very tiny
Okay.
things, and this one is basically like 4 times bigger than that. And as far as like, since the neighborhood, this applicant have a kind of like a huge backyard where they can provide more
Yeah.
space and still meet the code. So it's good things. Like,
Yeah, no, I'd agree.
In that shape of yard, I mean, there's a lot of those, that long, narrow, small little house that,
Is this going to be sticks and bricks or modular? Do you know what kind of construction that they're going for on this? Sorry. All right, moving forward on to project CUP 26-007.
Okay, so I'm gonna take this one. So we got a request from the owners of a church over near 1700 East. So you can see the property here on the aerial. It's kind of a unique shaped property. They actually own the corner as well. So there's 2 parcels they own as well, but they're separate parcels. So the conditional use is to approve the construction of a rectory or a residence dwelling on the church property for the clergy to live in, which is a common practice. The current code says that a rectory requires a conditional use, which is why it's here. They do have a structure back there right now that was previously serving as a residence for the clergy. It's just really old and in disrepair, and it's no longer habitable, so they're looking to replace it with a new residence. As I mentioned, pursuant to the code, rectory is defined as a place of residence for ministers, priests, nuns, or rabbis, or clergy, I guess we could widely define. And then one of the requirements in the code is that the residence be on the church property, so it be the same parcel. You can't sell it off individually to a different owner. So it's considered an accessory use to the primary use of the church. On the right there, you see a photo of the existing building and the landscaping between the two. So the proposed structure would be a single-story home with 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 22 feet tall. It would include a 2-car garage and a 2-vehicle carport, so 4 off-street spaces, which is more than the code requires. And again, it would function as the sole residence for the clergy that would live there. And then the applicant claims that the redevelopment would improve the appearance and functionality of the site. You can see in the photos, landscaping is a little tired, the building is old, so they're just looking to make some improvements. So here's a site plan and elevation showing what they're proposing to do. So they would, use the laser here. So they would create a new driveway here. So this would be the carport area. And then the new structure. All of this stuff would be landscaped in the back. So they would remove the existing building, all the concrete paving. So they would re-landscape this in the area in the back. And then the elevations here you can see. Oops. So it'd be roughly 3,200 square feet, single-story residence. Because there aren't specific requirements for that type of structure in for a church, we applied the same zoning standards as the R1A zone, which is its current zone. So we applied the same development standards as a house would in any other property. So with regard to setbacks, height, design, parking, all those things. And the proposal does satisfy all of those requirements.
Jim, it's a huge parking lot, so I'm sure the answer is there's no issue, but allotting those parking spots for the rectory still allows enough parking for the church
Yeah, so
itself,
they have
right?
their own parking separate from the parking lot.
Okay, so that's,
so-
okay, so it doesn't.
So they're not impacting any of the parking that's existing there. Good question. So the fire department requested a letter from Salt Lake Public Utilities, just to confirm fire flow and the nearest hydrant. And that would be prior to building permit approval. So based on what Salt Lake Public Utilities says, they may or may not be required to put in a new hydrant or upsize something to get the adequate fire flow. That would all be conditioned on their building permit. So if they couldn't satisfy that requirement, we couldn't issue the permit. And then engineering didn't have any comments.
But we wouldn't need to, if this is approval and for conditions, we wouldn't need to include that because it would be part of the building permit process.
Yeah, that's already all covered with things that we would review. So a notice was sent out to owners within 300 feet of the property. I'm not aware of any comments that we received. I'm not sure if anyone will come tonight for that, but no feedback to date. And then I made a couple of edits from the staff report on the recommended conditions. So one, the development has to conform to all the development standards adopted in the code. Number two, the approved structure shall use solely as a rectory serving on-site clergy. I just removed the name of the church in the event that church relocates. So just to keep it more broad. And then three, any future conversion has to go through the proper review channels with the city. And then they have to meet all the development standards of the underlying zone. And I changed that from R18 in the event that the zoning were to change at some point. We could just apply whatever standards are applicable to that zone. Few more here, they have to obtain all the building permits, comply with building code, fire code, all those kinds of things. Exterior lighting shall be downward directed and shielded, just like any other residential property. Prior to issuance of a building permit, they have to submit detailed landscape plans and irrigation plans for staff to review, which is common with the building permit review process. And because this is technically a commercial property, a lot of those standards will apply to this site. And then any modifications required by the building official, fire marshal, city engineer, or other agencies have to be completed before issuance of a permit or certificate of occupancy. So with that, staff recommends approval. We didn't see any burning concerns with this project. Any questions from the commission?
I'm curious a little bit about just defining who is eligible to live in such a place.
Yeah, so it would be the full-time clergy. So the paper,
On-site minister.
right. Mhm. Yeah, so it can't be leased or subleased or let out to people or like that.
So this is something similar to what St. Thomas More has in the city. I think that might be the only
Yeah.
other
Probably, I'm not
rectory that we
familiar
would have here.
with
Yeah,
that.
they have a rectory.
Yeah, they have a,
Yeah, it's pretty common for most religious establishments to have that because that's the clergy's career and job, so they have to live obviously very near where they work, and I can't imagine it pays super well, so the church usually provides the housing as part of the stipend.
And I think some do pretty well.
Well, yeah, some may.
But my understanding here is that the minister there travels from Layton to do his work there.
That I'm not familiar with. We could ask the
I
applicant.
thought that was in here somewhere, but that would not be convenient.
Yeah, or maybe he lives in Layton and wants to live here, because right now there's nowhere for him to live on site.
Yeah, I believe it's stated that he lives in Layton. That's where the church was before. And then he's traveling 40 minutes.
Yeah,
To come out here.
that's my understanding.
Yeah, so I think the intent is for him to relocate and live here permanently,
Yeah,
but we
certainly
can
makes sense for him.
confirm that, yeah.
Yeah.
Other questions?
I mean, there's a part of me like, if we do this, I mean, I hope for all of their success in the world as a church and as a congregation, they'll grow and that this will be a fantastic project. But even if this church didn't succeed in this space, feels like another church could also succeed in this space too, with what they're asking for. It seems reasonable and I don't see any concerns.
Yeah, my understanding is this church was donated from the previous church to this
Oh, that's good.
church.
Wow.
Due to the previous church just aging out, from what I understand. They got down to about 12 members and now I believe a lot of those members are going to this church.
Cool. Yeah, any opportunity to invest in the community is, it's always great. People are willing to invest Conway Heights. It's a good day.
Absolutely.
Well, that means that they're doing some serious fundraising at some point, or somebody's, donating to be able to do, to build, like, a new build is a new build in Conway
Mhm.
Heights. So,
Yeah.
Wonderful. Anything else on that end?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I believe that concludes the work session of the meeting. So we do need a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn
Second,
in a second. All in favor?
I.
Aye.
I do have a question or a comment for folks. Somehow I found myself on this committee to help celebrate the 250th birthday of our country, Conwood Heights. And I've given to Sean to distribute in his restaurant some letters to America. But if anybody's interested in writing a letter to America, I don't have the pre-printed forms already, but just a paragraph or two, I would be happy to receive that from you.
So.
You would just like that and then you'll put it into,
Preferably I'd have them handy and you could give them to you right now and you can do it in your own handwriting. If we're going to display them here in a week and a half.
We have like what American